Uh-oh. Hello and welcome to How to Helen, where you learn something different every day. As you saw on the intro, I was trying to bleed this 2002 Toyota MR2. But as I was trying to unscrew the bleeder valve, it accidentally broke. So on this episode, we're either gonna replace the bleeder screw on a brake caliper or replace the whole rear right caliper on a 2002 Toyota MR2. Let's see what happens. Make sure you choke the tires so the car doesn't roll forward when you release the handbrake. Start by removing this 13mm caliper bolt at the bottom. Once removed, it should allow you to pull the caliper up like so. Next is we need to remove the parking brake line. This is also a 12mm bolt, so we're gonna use a 12mm socket. There is actually a nut at the bottom, so you need something to counter to hold it so it stops spinning. Here's the nut at the bottom. Now there's also a nut here that holds the parking brake line in place. This one is a 14mm bolt. Let me move you so you will see it. This one. So we need to remove that as well. Now we can take out the parking brake line. Remove the bracket on the brake hose so that we can move the brake hose later to remove the caliper. This is a 12mm bolt that's holding it in place. Spray a little penetrating oil. And now we can move the brake hose out of the way when we take it off from the caliper, and we can move the caliper later. And finally, remove the brake line from the caliper, which is held up by a 14mm bolt. So use a 14mm wrench. Now when you remove this, brake fluid will come out. So I suggest have something ready to either get all the brake fluid, or in my case, I have my old brake caliper from the other side that I'm gonna connect so that it will hold the brake fluid in place or prevent it from dripping. So here we go. Taking off the old caliper. So here's our caliper. And I'm just putting this here for now to prevent the fluid from leaking. Hopefully, this will prevent air from getting in the brake line. It's not a perfect solution, but it's better than none. So this is the caliper that we're going to try to save, and this is the broken bleeder valve. Right, so I think we wasted so much time already trying to remove the bleeder valve on the caliper, and I don't want to waste more of our time because it's December and winter's just around the corner. So luckily I bought myself some insurance that I got a new or a used caliper from eBay. Just basically the same thing, but before we install it, let's make sure that we can get this off, because I don't want to install it and have problems removing this later on. Hopefully it's not stuck like our current caliper. See, it's supposed to be that easy to take it off. Ta-da! Okay, so we're gonna stop wasting our time on this one and install this one and bleed it later on. Okay, installation of the new caliper. It's basically the opposite of how we removed it. So I'm gonna start moving the temporary caliper I put in, so the fluid doesn't leak out when we had everything off. Take out the brake line. So 14mm socket for the brake line. Alright, slide the whole caliper. This position. The bracket for the e-brake is also a 14mm socket. The brake line is also a 14mm socket. So this wrench is very helpful for this. Now the brake line support is a 12mm socket. Make sure you tighten it. Support the brake line so that it doesn't have an extra string. Next is we're gonna install the e-brake. Not in socket. Okay, just for a quick recap, we installed the brake caliper, we installed the brake line, the brake line support, the e-brake support. So now we're gonna put in the e-brake. This is also a 12mm bolt, so we're gonna use a 12mm socket. There you go. Unfortunately, it started to snow, so we will bleed the brakes on a future episode. So that is how you replace a brake caliper for a 2002 Toyota MR2. My name's Arjeff, and thank you for watching How to Helen.